Most people are busy. Some people are mega busy. Some people are just normally busy. Some people feel like they're busy, but they aren't. And some people feel like they aren't busy, but they are. No matter which bucket you fall into, you've probably thought to yourself, I don't spend enough time on my language. Or wondered what it would look like if you spent more time. How much faster could you progress? Or the more common question, how do I make progress even though I'm busy? What's the minimum amount of time I can spend to learn a language? That's what I want to explore today. Normally, we say that you should be spending at least 1 hour every day to make satisfying progress. Satisfying progress is what we call it when you feel like you're learning and you can tell that you're making progress each week or month. You feel like you're moving forward. If you're learning a very distant language from your native one, like Arabic or Japanese, that minimum amount of time is closer to 2 hours per day. That number will vary from person to person, case by case, but it's a good baseline. Anything less and you run the risk of not feeling like you're learning and thus losing interest. Even though you totally can make progress with 30 minutes per day, it's just slower than most people are willing to stomach. So, if that answers your question, then great. I hope you enjoyed this video. But before you go, I want to take a look at what it would look like and how much progress you would make if you do learn for 1 hour per day. So let's do a thought experiment. Let's say you're learning a language. It's not super related to English, but it's also not super distant. We call these Category 3 languages. They take around 2,000 to 2,400 hours to reach a high level of functional fluency. Video up here. For this demonstration, you're learning a zillion. If in reality you're not, you may need to tweak these numbers a bit. Multiply everything by about 1.8 for distant languages like Mandarin or Japanese, and by about 0.75 for closer languages like Spanish and French. For languages like German, Indonesian, Russian, and basically everything else, these numbers will work great. You're able to learn for 1 hour per day. You're very diligent about it. You don't miss a single day from the day you start. Your goal is 2,200 hours, which will take a little over 6 years. But you don't mind at all. You have a family and a job you enjoy, so taking more than an hour per day would start to make you resent the language because you'd miss out on other things in your life. And over those 6 years, you make a ton of progress. After 3 months, you've gotten the basics under you. You can follow along with simple demonstrations fully in a zillion. You can read very basic texts and recognize or know most of the words. After another 3 months, you've become pretty comfortable with your language. You still don't know a ton of the words you see, but the ones you do recognize are like old friends. You know around 1,500 to 1,800 words, give or take. You've started to watch TV shows, very slowly since you have to pause a lot, but you're following the ideas and understanding the general plot. By the end of the first year of your learning, you've solidified much of the basic language. You process words much more quickly, and easier sentences don't take any thought. You've started reading simple books completely in a zillion. You have to look up a lot of words on every page, but you can't stop yourself from smiling every time you read something fluidly. 3 months later, you've crossed well over the 400 hours mark, which is what we sometimes call the threshold of fun. Because after this point, the language is a lot easier to enjoy. The words you look up aren't boring things like went, shop, or building, but instead are the key words that unlock the interesting content, allowing you to move faster and enjoy yourself more. After another 6 months, you notice another jump. You're not looking up nearly as many words. In fact, most words you know quite well, especially when you watch or read something you're familiar with. Words are sticking with you more easily and for longer. The next calendar year is pretty chill. You're focusing on passing the 1,000 hour threshold. Understanding the language is getting to be pretty easy, and you're not really worried about your abilities. You enjoy media, books, TV shows, just by looking up words here and there. During this period, you start to feel able to speak and express your own ideas in the language. And so in the end of the 3rd year, you start working on your writing abilities and taking some lessons with native speakers. You don't feel amazing about your language abilities, but you constantly get compliments on how fluent you sound and that you're the best student the teacher has. But you still know that you have a long way to go to actually achieve your goals. The fourth year isn't that eventful. You've settled into your routine and enjoy spending the hours with your language. You enjoy reading, writing, and watching your new favorite TV show. It's a cheesy Azillion sitcom that's from the late 90s that you can't seem to get enough of for some reason. You continue with weekly tutoring sessions with a native speaker and can feel the language coming easier week by week. And the fifth year is pretty similar. But you're really starting to sound quite fluent and easily engage in the language. Reading books and watching TV is basically just as easy it is in English. You don't ever worry if something is at your level, since basically everything is. Or you just look up a word or two. It's become so easy to immerse that whenever you have extra time alone on the weekend, you often choose to go over an hour per day just to watch more of your show or make progress in your book. Shh, don't tell anyone. And then finally, during the sixth year, you cross the 2,000 hour threshold. Somewhere in the middle of the year, you feel another shift in your abilities, marking your fluency. You even manage to take some time off and go visit the country where they speak that language. You have an amazing time visiting and chatting with random people while using the language you've spent so much time on. It almost feels surreal to hear people using the language after only hearing it on TV. But you really enjoy your trip and splurge on a few books and magazines while there. You know that you don't really need them, but you can't help yourself. You've successfully made it through 6 years of dedication to the language, and you deserve a little treat. But it's not like you want to stop. Your dedication and focus on Azillion has only made you enjoy it more. You have no plans to stop learning for at least 1 hour per day, since that hour is one of the things you look forward to each day. Okay, obviously this is very much a hypothetical situation, but it's really quite realistic. Most people can find a way to fit in a quality hour of immersion into their daily routine. It might take some sacrifices or discipline, but the results are very worth it. If you're worried about the pace and feel like 6 years sounds like a very long time, I highly recommend that you don't think about it too much. The entire process is really engaging and will make those 6 years better in many ways. Before we end the video though, I want to compare the 1 hour person to somebody doing the same thing for 2 hours per day just to see the difference. After a little over 4 months, you've already crossed the first big milestone of 200 hours. You've gotten the annoying basics out of the way and are focused more on the meaty part of the language. It's still very hard and most things aren't within your grasp, but you're having fun. And after 7 months, you've crossed that fun threshold of 400 hours. You're enjoying yourself every day and having a good time learning the language. You're reading simple books and understanding easy TV shows. After the first year, you've already crushed the 700 hours mark. You've gotten hooked on the TV show and are really looking forward to watching an episode every day. You don't understand everything, but it's still fun. You're building your vocabulary and have started reading books meant for teenagers. They're pretty difficult and you have to look up a lot of words, but it's very satisfying to see yourself making progress through an actual story. Over the next few months, you just keep getting better and better every day. You feel a big difference after every month or two. In the beginning of the year, reading was still giving you trouble, but just a few months later, you've actually become comfortable with it. There are a bunch of words that you couldn't remember back then, but then one day they just seem to click and now you can't forget them. You've even come across some words that you would swear are direct cognates with English, but are actually 100% Azillion. You just know them so well. And the second year really isn't that eventful. You actually crossed the 1,500 hour mark since you found extra excuses to fit in hours on the weekends and holidays. You feel like your language abilities are actually strong and don't really feel uncomfortable with anything. Sure, it's still hard, but in a way that you're able to tackle. And going into the third year, you really start looking to speak and output. You probably could have earlier, but you almost got addicted to having fun and starting to form your own ideas and thoughts, and the language seemed daunting. But you can't put it off anymore and you start to journal. In the beginning, it's painfully slow. When you look at your writing, you almost feel embarrassed. You make constant typing and spelling errors and get frustrated that you can't remember the word for Wednesday. But after a few months, it's so much easier, faster, and more fun. You look forward to your daily journal entries where you get to talk about your time learning the language and write yourself fun little notes for when you look back. About 4 months into your daily writing, you finally muster up the courage to schedule a live lesson with a tutor. It's going to be the first time actually speaking in a long conversation with a native speaker, and you feel very nervous. You put over 1,700 hours into Azillion. What if it didn't work? What if you're actually terrible? What if you forget everything? But it goes all right. You find it easy to say hello and greet your tutor. You stumble over several words, but you know what sounds better. You were just nervous. The native speaker is really impressed at how normal you sound. They ask you how long you've been learning, and you say, almost 2.5 years, but this is the first time I've actually talked to anyone. And they're shocked. They don't believe that it's been less than 3 years. They tell you about some of their students who have been learning for 5 or 6 years and can still hardly put a sentence together. The lesson goes very quick, and after, you feel both good and a little disappointed. You made so many little mistakes and forgot the word for Wednesday again. But you feel elated and excited about improving. You continue with weekly chats as much as you can and keep putting in the hours. You improve your writing and speaking abilities rapidly to the point where you don't recognize yourself. By the end of the 3rd year of learning, you feel fluent. You still need to look things up and certainly aren't at the level of a native speaker, but you're comfortable doing anything in the language and are really looking forward to being an Azillion speaker for the rest of your life. So, that's what 1 or 2 hours per day might look like. As long as you're consistent, of course, that's the most important thing. Let me know down in the comments if your experience is similar or how it's different. Now, if you're asking yourself, okay, that actually sounds really great. I could do 1 hour per day, but what do I do? How do I find the time? How do I build the habit? If that's going through your mind, you're not alone. Those exact questions are very common. It's not an obvious process, which is why the Refold team and I put together a course that answers all of those questions and more. We put all of our collective effort into making the most valuable course we possibly could. It's 30 days long and helps you learn all the core skills for taking yourself to fluency in a second language. If you're at all interested, check out the link below and start today. And the best part of it is that if for whatever reason the course isn't right for you, we want you to get all your money back. We understand that buying things online can be nerve-wracking. So we've tried to remove that feeling as much as possible with our 0 questions asked money back guarantee. Click the link below and get instant access. I hope this video was of use to you and inspires you to continue your language learning journey, even if it's just for 1 hour per day. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Happy immersing!